Hello and welcome to ForaCare. In this video we're going to be doing an overview of the D40g 2-in-1 blood glucose and blood pressure device, as well as the included components and the setting up of the device. Before you get started though, please make sure that you read the included owner's manual completely and make sure that all the components are included. Should anything be missing, please contact your place of purchase, your health plan provider, or ForaCare directly for assistance. Now let's take a look at what should be included inside the box. You'll have a protective wallet like this with the D40g unit inside, a blood pressure cuff, a rechargeable ion battery, and an AC adapter. Inside the box you'll also find a copy of the owner's manual, a quick start guide with the warranty information inside, and a logbook for your results. The D40g test strips, the lancing device, and the lancets, as well as the control solution, are sold separately. So make sure you have those on hand before you start your first blood glucose testing. Okay, now let's do an overview of the actual device. The first thing you'll notice is this very large LCD screen in the front. On the screen you're going to be doing the settings process. You'll also be seeing all of your measurement results. So at some point it's very important that you read the display screen portion of the manual so that you can understand what each of the numbers and symbols actually stands for. Below the screen you're going to see these 5 buttons. We have, of course, starting with the power button, which turns the device on and off. Then we have the RF button, which helps us with transmitting the data wirelessly to the telehealth server. Then we have the S button, which helps us with the settings process. The M button also helps us with the setting process, but it is mainly to access the memory on the device. And then finally we have the ABG button, which helps with the average mode portion or function of the blood pressure function of the device. Okay. Now on the side we're going to see here you have your power adapter jack or port so that you can connect the power adapter and connect to the wall for charging. You also have the USB port. On the top here you have your test strip slot for the blood glucose function of the device. And then here you have your test strip ejector button for after you're done with that test strip. You can easily eject it without having to touch it. And then we have, of course, the port or the jack for the blood pressure cuff. Okay. Now in the back here we have the battery compartment. Now if you're getting this device, most of the time the device comes already with the battery inside, but if you get it separately, then that means you're going to have to go ahead and insert it. And then you also most likely have to charge it. The battery takes about 5 hours of charging before the device can be used. So just keep that in mind. If it's separate, just make sure that you charge. So let's go ahead and take the battery out. And this is, before we put it in, we can see here. You'll notice that there are slots here that look and have the symbol for the AA batteries. Now, don't insert any other type of batteries in the back of this device. Only use the battery pack that's included. Using other type of batteries might cause damage to the device, or it might burn, or it might create an issue. So always just use the battery pack that's included. This is also the only battery pack that can be recharged with the power adapters. So make sure that you don't use this and then other types of batteries, because again it could cause damage to the device. The other thing you'll notice here is that we already have the IoT card. All of the devices, regardless of whether they have the battery in them or not, will always already have the IoT card in them, because this card is the one that enables the 3G signal on your device so that all of your data can be transferred wirelessly to the telehealth network. So don't touch it. Make sure that you leave it alone, because touching it or playing with it can cause issues with transferring that data wirelessly. So just leave it alone. And let's go ahead and insert the battery. And then close this back up. This will turn the device on automatically, and then all of these symbols will flash on the screen. And then after it's done, it'll turn off. So now it's in resting mode. All of these settings that you see here, the month and the date and the hour, those are default. That's how it comes. So let's go ahead and start with the actual settings so that we can match the date and time and everything to the actual date and time. So let's go ahead and start by pressing the S button, and you're going to want to press it for a few seconds until you see the year and the number blinking, okay? So to change the numbers on any of these settings, you're going to want to press the M button. So let's go ahead and press it, and that changes the number. And then once you've arrived at the number that you want to leave it on, to select and save, you're going to want to hit the S button. And then that'll jump over to the next setting, in this case being the month. So we can press the M button again until you reach the right number, press S, and then it'll skip to the day. And again, the same process. S, and then now it goes into the hour, M, S, and then minutes, M, S. Now, after you do the minutes, you'll notice that both the hour and the minutes will start blinking together. This is because it's asking you which type of hour mode you want to use. You can do the 12-hour mode, which is, 12 p.m. and then 12 a.m., or you can do the 24-hour mode, which just, instead of going from 12 to 1 p.m., it'll go from 12 to 13 and 14, etc. So you can select by pressing the M button, and you'll see here it went into the 12-hour and then, or 24 hours. We're going to go ahead and do the 12-hour, and then we're going to hit select. Now we come to the volume portion of the setting. Now the volume is for the voice. The device does have speaking, and it'll either speak the result or for whatever setting process you're doing. So the more you hit the M button here, you'll notice there's a number 1, number 2, number 3. The higher the number, obviously the higher the volume. So it really is your preference. And it always gives you a testing by repeating the number. So let's go ahead and select on 5 and hit S.
Thank you for using FORA telehealth products.
And it gives you a test, a sample, I should say, of what the volume of the voice will be. Then we have the language. L1 is the default, which is stands for English, but we also have L2, which is a Spanish portion. And I know there are other languages depending on what area you are in, so just keep selecting until you find the right language.
Thank you for using FORA telehealth products.
This one only has English and Spanish, so we're going to go with English, and we're going to go ahead and hit S button to select. Now we come to the AS portion of the settings. AS with the word on the screen. This is to indicate the auto send feature of the device. So what that means is that if you're participating in the telehealth portion, which you most likely are if you're using a 3G unit, is that when you do a measurement, the device will automatically transfer that measurement to the telehealth. So you don't have to manually be every single time hitting a button to send over the readings. It will automatically do it. So you want to leave it as is, just on. Otherwise, you can turn it off. But we don't want that. Like I said, it's a lot easier if you just leave it on, because it'll be automatic and you don't have to continuously be pressing any buttons. So let's go ahead and select
Delete memory
this
record
portion.
function. Press memory key to clear all records.
So as you just heard, this delete portion with the blinking M means that if you wanted to delete any of the stored memory in the device, you can do so by selecting this. If it's a new device, there's obviously not going to be any data in memory for you to delete, but this is a setting that you can use later on if you've already measured multiple times and you wanted to delete the memory. So for now, we're just going to leave it alone. We're just going to hit S and continue.
Year is 2019. The month is June. The day is the 11th. The hour is 12 p.m. The minutes are 49. The time is 12-hour mode. Voice volume is 5. Have a nice day.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you heard all of that. The device, once you're done with the setting process, will automatically repeat all of the settings that you have changed, as you heard with the voice. And then it will turn itself off after you hear that little chime. And that's it. That's all you need to do with the setting up of the device. Again, if you have any issues or any of the components and none of this is working, please make sure that you contact your healthcare provider or ForaCare directly for assistance. Another thing to note and to keep in mind is that when you're connecting this device, let's say you do your first measurement and then you transfer over the measurement to the telehealth network, the device will sync up to the telehealth server. So, for example, in all of the settings will change according to the server. So for example, if you have a patient, or if you yourself are a patient that is in a different time zone or out of state, whatever settings you just saved in here will change to automatically match the settings in the server, or the time zone of the server. So just keep that in mind, that sometimes these things might change and you're not going crazy or the device isn't malfunctioning. You just simply keep in mind that the server that it's connecting to might have done the change automatically. If you're in the same state or within the same region, then you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. Okay, and that's it. Now you're ready for your first measurement with the FORA D40g 2-in-1 blood glucose and blood pressure monitor.